French ecologist. There was this.
Lee get it. Lee get it. Yo, what's up, JJ? What's up, y'all? I'm JC, and you're watching Jose Calamari. Welcome back to This is a stream right now, bro, but it's gonna be a video later on posted on the channel. Saying whether it's TikTok or YouTube. I found this freaking channel, bro, called True Stories 2.0. And this guy, it's just me on my personal time. I love paranormal. I love creepy stories. I love horror stuff. And I found this guy, and it's just this guy, and his whole demeanor when he tells scares, it's just like short, but like real life stories that's been told to him. Story times, he just repeats them, and he has a whole channel on TikTok mostly where his most of his content's at. And we're gonna be just scrolling through TikTok on some brain rot type of energy, just pretty much going through his content. He does have a YouTube channel he just now started. He's kind of uploading videos on there too to get on the YouTube platform, but he's kind of mostly blew up on TikTok. And what he does is just tell creepy stories and urban legends and stuff like that, and then I was gonna do this and just watch this on my own, but I was thought, why not stream this and everybody else can put their 2 cents in, what they think about the quick little story times he has to say. So I've been watching a ton of these. I recommend y'all go to TikTok, bro. Type in True Stories 2.0. Y'all see it down there. And yeah, bro, he tells like really really quick stories, bro. And this dude, his demeanor, like you can tell when he tells the stories, he's just like his whole like atmosphere is like he's really like locked into him, but he's at the same time he's he's like kind of living the stories himself. You know what I'm saying? It's just how the way he gulps, the way he just like takes his time to tell a story, and he's just like he's like really locked in. I don't know, if, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just me, bro. I hope y'all can see the same thing. But let's go into this first story. This is where I left off when I was just listening to this. Of all the videos I started with him on TikTok, and I just keep scrolling down. So last time I left off, and here's the first video. Are mermaids real?
French ecologist named Philippe Garnier. Now, he went down to the Congo, Africa, on this research expedition, and he said he was going down the Congo River to this area where a lot of people have not been before. And he said one of these fishing villages that he came upon, he was going to stay there for like a couple weeks. And he said there were missionaries there who like helped out this tribe and helped him communicate with them. Well, one of the things that he first notices when he gets to this area is that there are all these crosses right next to the river. And so he asked one of the missionaries, like, what is the meaning of these crosses by the river? And he says, well, you see, this tribe here, they believe in what they call the Ninibi. And he said the Ninibi are like these they call river water people who are similar to, in other cultures, like mermaids.
Okay.
And he said they believe that they live in the deep parts of the river. And he said, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, they will appear as what you desire to lure you into the water and take you.
Oh no.
And he said these people believe that several of the villagers were taken by them, and they are very afraid of them. So he says, it just sounded like a crazy fabricated story or whatever. So he said at this time, after he got done talking to the missionary said, hey, I want to give you this cross, and stuff. And so he takes the cross, he puts it on. And he said, after a couple of days spending time with his tribe, he realized that they were really terrified of these like water river people. And He said one night he went to bed in this hut next to the river, and he remembered it was storming really, really bad. And he said it just kind of kept him up. He couldn't sleep. And then when he finally got to bed, he said he started to have this dream. And he said in this dream, this beautiful woman appeared in his room. And he said she was completely naked. She had this blank stare on her face. And he said she was just moving her shoulders like kind of back and forth.
That's not a
And he
woman.
said she walked over to the side of where you're sleeping. And she started to rub his face. And then he said after that, they became intimate.
Okay.
And he said during this time, he started to notice she was changing. And all of a sudden, this beautiful woman turns into this decrepit corpse.
Hell
and
no.
He said, she had these long, dangly fingers with black nails, sharp black teeth. She had eyes that were like hanging out of the sockets.
Hell no.
And he said, it was just the most terrifying thing he had seen. And he said, like when you thought of a mermaid, you thought that it had like this single tail.
Gotta figure a
He said
demon.
this
Facts.
woman had both legs, but they looked very aquatic-like.
You
And
smashed a
he said
demon?
the next thing he remembers is one of the villagers is yelling at him. And he realizes he's not in the hut. He's actually outside next to the river getting ready to step into the water.
What?
And he said right at that moment there was a flash of lightning and it illuminated the entire river. And he sees the shadow of what appears like something in the water.
Get
and
out
it
of there.
jumps down and splashes. And he said, it was just this really terrifying experience. And he said throughout his times being there, he said at night you could hear whatever these were screaming. And he said it was just probably the most scariest thing you could imagine.
Hell
And
no.
the fear
I'm never
in
going
these
there.
villagers' eyes, like, he could tell whatever this was something real. There was this...
Yo, did y'all hear that shit, bro? This nigga had a dream that he was getting in there, bro. I'm talking about some butt booty nakeds, bro. He's like smashing or some shit. He's going in, right? And then all of a sudden it turned to a decrepit fucking like demon. And then he wakes up about to step into the river and like the mermaids is about to snatch him. Hell no. I'm not going there ever in life, bro. Y'all got me fucked up. Let's go to the next story.
People don't know about the land between the lakes. Now, the land between the lakes is this area on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. And basically, at the time, there were two rivers that formed this piece of land in between. And apparently in the 60s, 70s sometime, they dammed it off and created what is now Lake Kentucky and Barkley Lake. And in between is this stretch of land that's become like this tourist destination where millions of people go every year to camp. Now, there are so many different legends and lore because apparently when they had dammed the lakes, they flooded entire towns, and some of these towns had cemeteries, and so a lot of these cemeteries are completely underwater, under the lake. And also, if you hike in this area where the land is, there are over like 270 cemeteries. Now, this is a story I heard out of the Land of Lakes and how creepy this place is. So this guy said that him and his family went down for the 4th of July to stay at this cabin right next to Lake Kentucky. And he said, it was about midday. Him and his family were all outside right next to the lake. His sons were fishing, and he was just sitting there grilling out. Well, he said all of a sudden he hears a man's voice yelling, "Help me." And he said it's...
Alright, we can stop right there. Are y'all helping, bro? At this point, I became really paranoid. I watched so many of this nigga stories and just in general of like Wendigos, like impersonating humans. Are y'all helping somebody who's screaming, "Help me! Help me, please"? Are y'all helping somebody in the forest? If y'all in the forest, are y'all running away or y'all going to investigate and help somebody? I just want to know. I need to know y'all opinion. Like, straight up, be real with me, bro. Like, if it sounds like your family member is in distress and like someone else can do JJ immediately said someone else can do it. Colin said, I feel like this type of content is so silly. Bro, why he look like Jacob? Oh, chill, bro. I just saw your comment. He does look like that. That's crazy. Nah, but seriously, though. Why do you feel like this is silly, though, Colin? Do you feel like you never encountered nothing like this, bro? because I was just talking to my boy JJ in the chat the other stream, and we had encounters where me and him both like heard our name being called, but no one was calling our name because you can just make up something. True, people can make up stuff. ChatGPT can make up stories. You know what I'm saying? AI can make up stories, but at the same time, I think some of this stuff actually happens because you know what I'm saying? This stuff really be happening to certain people, you know what I'm saying? They tell their story. Some of the stuff, yeah, you could be like, that's fake. But you know what I'm saying? Until it happened to you, Colin, I think until stuff happened to you, you just don't really feel like this could be possible. You know what I'm saying? I didn't live this stuff. I feel like this stuff is possible, but let's continue.
Found it like it was coming from like the lake. And he's looking around, he doesn't see anyone, but he can vividly hear, like, help me, help me, help me.
I'm not going
And so
over
he gets
there
his wife,
helping.
and he's like, do you hear that? And she hears it. And they can't figure out, like, where this is coming from. He's
I'm
like,
not
well, there's
helping.
a bunch of people
You're on your
here,
own. You're
4th of
drowning.
July,
I don't
maybe it's
care.
someone camping nearby. So eventually, after they keep hearing this, he calls the sheriff. Sheriff
Call
comes
the
out.
police.
He
They're
hears
supposed to
it.
help. That's their job.
And he's confused because he's like, it's coming from the lake, but where is it coming from? Like, who is out there saying, help me? So he goes around and, goes to different campsites and cabins. No one is like, yeah, we're not yelling for help. Like, we don't need help. And he seems like very confused and stuff. Later that night, they're all in their cabin sleeping. And he said, sometime in the middle of the night, they start hearing a banging at the door. And someone's like banging frantically at the front door of this cabin. And he said he could hear that same man's voice. And it was like yelling, help me, help me. So he's like, hold on. Like, I'm coming. He runs to
I'm not
the front
running
door of
to
the
the
cabin.
door.
He opens it up. And he said it was just completely quiet outside. There was no one.
There's no one
And
at the
he said
door?
later on
Nah,
he
you
talked
got
to
it.
some locals, and they said, yeah, and like this stuff happens all the time.
What do you mean it happens all the time? I'm never going there. I'm never going there, bro. Where this nigga said this was at? Kentucky? I'm never going there. How would people comfortable be like, bro, looks like he hiding something, some nuts in his sheets. Relax on roasting the storyteller, bro. You look like a Dr. Seuss character. Relax, Colin. Why are you roasting my man? This man Colin says this is like this nigga is auditioning for a Thing 2 in real in live action Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat. Relax, bro. Let this man tell the story. He's over here roasting this dude. Bro, he is. Relax, Colin. Let him tell the story, bro. You roasting that man, bro. Let this man do
There
his
have
thing.
been, hundreds of people who drowned in this lake, and he said like every year, so many people drown or they disappear and are
Why?
never seen from again. One of the other legends about this area is something they call the LBL beast, or the beast of the land between the lakes. And this thing is similar to the Dogman up in Michigan, right? And apparently in the 80s, there was a whole family that was like massacred.
Whoa.
And, they tried to cover it up and stuff. Soldiers came from Fort Campbell. And a lot of people in the area, they say, yeah, they're like, there is something in these woods. We don't go out at night.
But I'm never
So
going
there's
there.
another story I heard.
I'm
about
sad. I'm so
this
happy
man
y'all tell me
and
the
his family. They
location.
go
I'm
out
never going
camping
there.
in this area, and they actually stayed in a cabin. And I believe it was near Lake Kentucky. And he said, at night they decided to go for like a nice hike because it was really nice outside. So they started hiking down this trail.
Colin said me and you going camping there and live streaming it. Oh, you talking to JJ? Oh yeah, you and JJ can go there and live stream all that. Bro, this dude got me clicking out the video. Bro, you and JJ, hell yeah, Colin. Y'all go in there live stream that shit together. I promise you, I'm not gonna live stream it. It's not gonna be me with you, Colin. Are you serious? This dude got me clicking on the video, playing
People
this
don't
shit in
know
the chat.
about the land between the lakes. Yeah, is something they call the LBL beast, or the beast of the land between the lakes. And this thing is similar to the Dogman up in Michigan, right? And apparently in the 80s, there was a whole family that was like massacred. And,
Hell no.
they tried to cover it up and stuff. Soldiers came from Fort Campbell. And a lot of people in the area, they say, yeah, they're like, there is something in this woods. We don't go out at night. So this is another story I heard about this man and his family. They go out camping in this area, and they actually stayed in a cabin. And I believe it was near Lake Kentucky. And he said, you know, at night they decided to go for like a nice hike because it was really nice outside.
I'm never going for a hike.
So they started hiking down this trail, and they stumbled upon like a really old cemetery. And he said during the day they had seen it, but now at night it looked really creepy because it was kind of illuminated by the moonlight.
Yeah, I bet.
And he said all of a sudden they see something like moving by one of the stones. And he said that's when he noticed there was like dirt sort of flying up in the air. And he said as they got a little closer, there was something digging out like one of these graves. And he said all of a sudden this thing just stood up out of the hole. And he said it looked like a man, but a dog. And it had these bright red eyes.
I'm out.
Apparently, he said it let off this loud howl.
I'm out.
So he said him and his family, they took off running as fast as they can. They get back to the cabin and they lock the doors. And he said all night long, they could hear this thing running around the house, making howls, like going up on the porch, tapping on the window. And they said whatever it was stalked them all night. And the next morning they packed up and left.
I'm leaving.
So what do you think? Have you heard any stories?
I'm never going back there again.
People don't know about the land between. This is probably the scariest case to come out of the Appalachian Mountains. Now, this one is personal to me because I actually worked on this case. Now, I had a friend.
Corey. So Colin, you in the chat talking trash. You ain't never had nothing paranormal or creepy happen to you your whole life. I'm just being serious, Colin, because you talking a lot of heavy trash, bro. You ain't never have a creepy dream or nothing like that you can't explain. Some paranormal stuff that you can't. There's nothing at all you've ever experienced in your whole life that make you question some. I was visited by people from heaven. Okay.
Lived in North Carolina, and he was a paranormal investigator. He reaches out to me one day and is like, hey, so I got this weird case, and, you know, I'm kind of stumped. Like, could you help me with it?
Okay. Do you believe it, Colin?
There was this Native American family who lived on the reservation, and they had a daughter who was like 16 or 17, and at the time, she was getting dropped off from a friend's house one night at her parents' home. Well, her friend drops her off, and she said when she got out of the car, she had to walk down this like bumpy, gravelly, muddy road. And she said as she's walking down this gravel road, and right next to her, you know, is the woods, she sees this man standing on the side of the road. And she said he had this black hat on, a black cloak, and she said she couldn't really see his face at the time because it was turned. She said as she walked a little closer to him, he turned his face, and she said he had no mouth, no nose, but these solid red eyes, and he was just staring at her.
Oh, okay.
Well, she said, you know, she walked as fast as she could to the house, and this man began, like, following her.
So
she runs inside her house, and she's, like, screaming, crying at this time. Her dad's like, what's going on? Like, why are you crying? She said, there's this man out there in a hat, like, he was following me. So her dad runs out of the house and just starts looking for this guy.
They're ready to fight.
He doesn't find anyone. He doesn't see anything. And he's like, you sure there was a guy out there? And she's like, yeah.
Bro, let's shout out to all the dads, bro, who's ready to throw hands for their family, bro. I know a lot of stories, bro, about fathers that's like so scared they wouldn't even like investigate. So
that boy tomorrow you gonna be booked on you all Friday. You could have done something.
No, I told you I was thinking I work. What's it called? Hold on, bro. It ain't like that.
Booked the whole weekend.
I am.
Booked doing what? Why'd that cup fall off this thing?
I am gonna be booked the whole weekend.
Yeah, Lord.
Bro, I told you I'm thing, bro. This don't come out in 2 days, and I'm
so you
counting
gonna be
hours.
on the game the week?
Bro, from Friday, I told Mom. If I told Mom to contact me in April so we can do something together, what you think I'm gonna tell him? Bro, this from the moment midnight.
March.
The moment midnight hit from Thursday. When that game comes out, since 2017. It's been 9 years since that.
What he wanted to do,
the sequel.
play a game
We can do that in April.
April.
We can do that in the beginning of, I'm sorry, March. I'm sorry. This is February. I gotta call my bank and tell it's March. I apologize. I got stuff mixed up. Today is February. It's still February. I'm getting contacted. Do something with Mama.
Saturday's the last day in February.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna get it with Mama
So,
in March. I'm sorry. Oh, I gotta call her so bad. I told her April. I forgot that March is a month. I gotta call her and let her know that we're gonna do something in March together. We'll get together and watch some other movies together. But no, I'm gonna get with him in March and we're gonna do some stuff. But no, I'm talking about I didn't dedicate everything to play this game, bro. I want to enjoy myself with the game, bro. I didn't pay too much money for it. My fault. I told him the wrong thing. It's fine. Right. Sorry, y'all, bro. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm talking to my people, bro.
Seen him like he was on the road, and he was like, followed me to the house.
I was like I said, bro, shout out to all, like, parents, bro. Like, once you become a dad and, like, a parent, I feel like you have to be the man of the house, and you need to run out and take care of whatever. It's like, if somebody's like, oh, my God, there's a monster in my bed, Dad, you should check it out. You have to step up and, like, be there for your kids, or, like, you can't be pussy, bro. You just can't, bro. You have to scare away monsters. You have to fight away anything that's coming to your house, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just... You just have to be that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And as a man, I think in general, you should have that in you, bro. But you know what I'm saying? Once you become a father, that's just automatic.
So a couple weeks pass, and they start noticing that their daughter is waking up at night from having these terrible dreams, that she is seeing this man in her room. And not only that, she is waking up with these scratches all over her body.
Whoa.
In the next coming months, right,
Oh, it's a
there
demon.
was something banging on the windows, banging on the doors. Right, they could hear scratching sounds coming from the roof all night long.
You gotta turn white for
try to figure out what was going on. Like
a second to go check it out. No,
and
just check it out as a grown man. It's not gonna have to be on some white people shit.
Like this terrible nightmare.
Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be on some white people shit to check out something, because you never know when there's an actual human invader in your house. If your kid tells you, I'm hearing noises in my room, in my closet, and you go in the closet and you find there's an actual pedophile in the closet, you beat the shit out of him, because that's an actual human being. There's a difference between paranormal stuff popping off and then some creepy ass PDF file, you know what I'm saying, lusting after your kid. So, you know what I'm saying, it's not always white people shit to go investigate.
They're in the other room, she could hear this going on. So she walks over to her bedroom, which the door is halfway open. She looks in, and she said she could see a man standing next to her bed with this hat and this cloak on.
Oh, hell no.
She goes in her room, she flips on the lights, and she said it was gone. And not only this thing was, attacking, this girl was attacking their home. It had left scratch marks on the truck, on the home. There were claw mark footprints all around the home. These are real pictures from some of the damage that it was causing and the scratch marks that it left on this girl. Now, I started looking into this case, and I started researching what we come to know today as the Hat Man. And as I got deeper into this case, I started to notice weird things were happening to me. Like, I lived up in Chicago at the time, and one night, I'm asleep, and I just remember it was 3 a.m. I wake up to the sound of a scream, and I'd never heard anything like that before. So I immediately jump up. I think someone's in the house. Like, what is going on? I searched my entire home. There was no one there. The doors were locked. The windows were closed. So as I'm getting ready to go back to bed, I walk past the living room, and as I turn, sitting in a lazy boy recliner is what looks like a man in a cloak and a hat.
Oh, you got to fight.
And I look again, he's gone. But I could see movement of the chair, and that's someone obviously had.
Oh, we got to fight. You in my lazy boy chair.
And that,
that's my chair. I pay for that.
Immediately, went into the bedroom, closed the door. And mysteriously, as all of this started, it just one day stopped. And to me, what I thought personally was this was a case of the Hat Man. This is probably...
This dude talking about, I was in my house and I saw a Hat Man nigga in my chair for a second. I looked back, he was gone. I'm like, bitch, you know how much I paid for that lazy boy? You know what I'm saying? I went to cons, bro. You know what my furniture bill looking like? Are you gonna pay on that bitch so you can be sitting in there rocking that bitch back and forth? Fuck no. You gonna pay me for that bitch, you can get the fuck out of this house.
The most terrifying hiking trail in the United States is located in Tennessee, in the Appalachia, a place called the Norton Creek Trail. Now, the Norton Creek Trail
Hey,
is
yeah,
about an
Goosebump
hour
Trail.
from Knoxville, Tennessee, and probably about 20 minutes
Now,
from
what the fuck is
Gatlinburg.
that? I don't know.
Now, this trail goes through
I don't know
the
what
Smoky
the
Mountain
shit
National
is.
Park, and this area has the highest concentration of old pioneer cemeteries and abandoned homesteads that you can actually visit. This area is known for ghostly apparitions, orbs, people disappearing. There is a famous story about a pioneer settler who went looking for his missing daughter on this trail and actually was found unalived.
Whoa.
Now, the creepiest legend, though, in this area is that of Spearfinger. Now, Spearfinger is this old Cherokee legend that there is this witch who they described as being sometimes 40 feet tall, having skin like rocks,
Ew.
and this long, sharp finger that is shaped like a spear. And the creepy thing about Spearfinger is that she could shapeshift. She could be anyone. Your auntie, your cousin, your best friend.
Your cousin.
And she could be
I knew
walking
it.
right behind you. You turn around and she sticks her long spear finger into your back, rips out your liver, and eats it.
Ew.
Now, this story comes from this same general area. There was this woman who said when she was a young girl, her and her brothers and sisters, they lived in this small shack in the Appalachian Mountains. And she said, they were very poor. So this house was, not that big. They all shared a bedroom. And they said their father had to leave them alone for a couple days. So their auntie came to stay with them. So
Not
they said,
living in the mountains. Heard that you
one
did.
night they're hanging out with their auntie and they're joking, they're having a good time. When all of a sudden, they said the air just got stale. And they could feel almost like a cold breeze blowing into the house. And they said the dogs started to freak out and bark and go crazy, like someone was outside. So the auntie got really, really nervous and really scared. She takes the kids and they all go up into this attic where the father had made kind of like a safe area for them to hide if anything were to ever happen. So they're all sitting up in the attic, and there's, this tiny little hole that they could see down into, the downstairs.
Okay, cool.
They said all of a sudden the door opened up,
Okay.
and they said in walked this little old lady. And they said she just kind of, was touching everything around their house. And she said all of a sudden, this old woman started saying, "Come out, children, come out. I've got something for you. Come out,
no,
I
I'm
want to
good.
tell you a story." And she started, acting like she was this concerning old woman who wanted to give the kids, stories and candy.
Don't.
And so the kids started to say to the auntie, like, "Can we go down there? Can we
No.
see her? Can we see her?" And she's
You can't go
quiet,
see her.
quiet, just be quiet. And the more they resisted, the more this woman was like, "Come down here, kids. Come down here. I got something for you. Like, I have some toys." And, they're like, "Oh, my goodness, we don't have no toys. Like, we should go down there. We should go down there."
No,
And the
don't
auntie's
go
like, "No,"
down
fighting,
there.
fighting with them, saying, like, "You have to stay up here in the attic." And so they said all of a sudden, the woman kind of disappeared out of sight. And as they're looking down this little hole, they said the next thing they knew, a finger popped up through the hole and started, moving around. And she said the auntie and the kids are all scared because they're seeing like this finger just coming up through the hole. And they said the finger started to grow and grow, and it became almost like this long, sharp spear. And they said it started to move around the attic, and they had to like avoid it because it was almost hitting them.
Hell no.
And the auntie just started saying these prayers like over and over again. And they said all of a sudden it was like, boom, like they had woken up from a dream. This old woman was gone. The air seemed normal. And so the auntie brings them down from the attic. And she said the next day when her auntie went outside, all of their animals that they had out there were like mutilated, torn apart.
Damn.
And she said to this day, she is afraid to go out in the woods in this area. The
Facts.
most terrifying... I put my heart into this video, but an Appalachian skinwalker is much different than the Navajo skinwalker. Okay, the first difference is that a Navajo skinwalker, right, is conjured up by a medicine man, whereas an Appalachian skinwalker is conjured up by a witch in the Appalachia who uses black magic. The other big difference between the Appalachian skinwalker versus the native skinwalker is that the Appalachian skinwalker tends to take the form of objects, and a lot of time almost just comes as an invisible force that calls out to people or follows them, or for instance, the Bell Witch, right? It wasn't a witch going after that family. It was a skinwalker that was conjured up to harm and, terrify that family. So I got a story for you. This is a true story now, and I'm going to show you a picture as well. So there's a man named Donald. Donald was an avid hunter and trapper. He lived near the North Carolina-Tennessee border up in the Appalachian Mountains. And one day, he's out hunting, and he's in the middle of the woods, and he set up, in this deer stand. And he'd been out there all day, and he's, had been hunting for the whole week, so he was getting tired. He falls asleep and dozes off.
Okay.
Well, when he awakes, it's now nighttime and it's gotten dark. And as he's adjusting some things in his tree stand, all of a sudden, whoosh, he hears this loud thing move over the top of him through the trees, like it's some kind of large bird or something. And he thinks it's odd because, he hasn't seen, birds that big in that area. But then once again, whoosh, right? This big thing just passes over the top of him through the trees, and it's shaking all the branches. And then again, a third time. So, he gets down off his tree stand and is like, okay, it's time to head back to camp.
Right.
As he starts, walking this trail back to camp, all of a sudden he hears something, say, Donald.
Okay, I'm not
Hey,
following
Donald,
that.
come play.
I'm good.
And this voice just keeps calling to him.
I'm straight.
And he, is like freaking out. He's terrified. So he takes off running, and he's running as fast as he can. And all of a sudden, boom, he trips and he rolls.
White
And he
people
realizes
shit.
he just tripped over this root that is sticking out of the ground. And when he looks up, he notices this big, eerie-looking tree. And, it has no leaves on it, but it has branches that almost look like hands, and it looks like it has a face. And this tree starts staring at him and opens its eyes, and he can see that this tree has taken some kind of physical, humanly form, and it starts reaching its branches down, and it grabs Donald, and it picks him up, and is shaking him and whipping him with the other branches. Well, Donald still manages to hold on to his rifle, and he just starts firing at the tree, and he manages to hit one of the branches that was holding his leg, and it basically breaks, and he falls to the ground. So he runs back to his cabin, and he gets inside, and he locks all the doors, and all night long he can hear the tree lashing at the house trying to get in. And the next morning, all is calm, but he notices outside, there's the tree. It has moved. It's next to the cabin, and he manages to take some pictures which actually show the face in the tree, and this is the picture that Donald took.
Where's the face?
The Appalachian skinwalker is much different than the Navajo. Have you ever heard the old saying, you shouldn't step or stand on a grave? Now, there was this young adult named Barry, and Barry and his friends decided they wanted to go out to the cemetery one night.
Why?
Now, this cemetery was known to be haunted, and there were all these stories and legends. So him and his buddies, they go to the cemetery, and they're walking around with flashlights, kind of scaring each other. And he said that he was walking on the graves, and one of his friends said, hey, Barry, you shouldn't walk on top of the graves or stand on them, it's bad luck. And Barry said, what are you talking about? I don't believe in any of that. So he starts stomping on this grave, and then spits on it. And it's
Disrespect.
What's going to happen to me? A ghost going to get me?
Disrespect.
So he said, while they were in the cemetery, nothing really happened. So he didn't think anything of stepping on the grave or anything. Well, when he got back home, he just had kind of this bad feeling that maybe he shouldn't have done that. And so when he got to his house, he goes inside, and his girlfriend is in the kitchen, and she's cooking a big meal. Barry says, "Hey, what's up?" and stuff. And she goes, "Where'd you go?" And he goes, "Oh, I went out to the cemetery with some of my buddies." Well, as he's talking to his girlfriend, he sees someone standing behind her.
What?
And he's like,
who's that?
Who's behind you? And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, do you have a guy in the house or something? Like, who's behind you? Anyone else notice? Have you ever heard the old saying, you shouldn't step in the house or something? Like, who's behind you?
Stupid as Ed.
And she looks around and she's like, "What are you talking about? There's no one behind me." And he said, there's a guy standing behind you. And like, she couldn't see him, but he could see this guy, like, and he was wearing a flannel and jeans and boots. And he had just this very pale, long face, this brown kind of shaggy hair, and a, longer kind of beard. And he's just standing behind his wife. And, Barry's kind of like, "What's going on? Like, you don't see that?" And she's like, "No, I don't, you're starting to scare me." So Barry's like, "Whatever." He goes out of the room, he comes back, he doesn't see the guy anymore. And so that night, right, he is laying in bed, and his girlfriend's right next to him. He is just like tossing and turning because he can't really sleep because he's thinking about, what happened at the cemetery. And when he turns over towards where his girlfriend's sleeping, he sees this man, the same man he's seen behind his girlfriend. And he is in between him and his girlfriend.
Hell no.
And he jumps out of bed and he's like, "What the heck? Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing here?" And his wife's like, or his girlfriend's like, What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "Who's the man in the bed?" And she's like, "There's no man in the bed." And so, like, he walks out of the room and is like, I can't handle this. He comes back into the room to apologize to his girlfriend and check to see if that he can still see this guy, and the guy's not in there. And for like weeks, he was like seeing this guy standing behind his girlfriend. And so he said he got in his car one night, he drove to the cemetery, and he went back to that grave that he had stomped on, and he apologized and was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you, and like, I hope you can forgive me and leave me alone."
He
And he said,
changed his
like,
mind.
all of a sudden, he just got this overwhelming feeling like everything was going to be okay. And he went back home, and he didn't see this guy anymore.
Crazy work. Crazy work. That's wild. See the next one.
Anyone else notice that time has been speeding up? Like, just the other day, I didn't even realize that it was Christmas in a couple days. Because, to me, it still feels like it's October. And over the past, I would say, 6 to 7 years, time has been moving really, really fast. And I know people say as you get older that you experience time differently, but this just doesn't seem right. Like, even older people are saying, like, time seems like it's moving faster than it did before. So the question is, what is going on? Like, what is happening that we're experiencing time differently? Now, there's a story I heard about something called the time slip. It's where you can't account for periods of time, or time moves differently. There was this man named Jacob.
Okay.
Jacob said that him and his friends, they went camping this one weekend in the Pacific Northwest. And he said they had set up their campsite and they had made this very large fire. And him and two other friends, they decided to go into town to get some supplies.
Okay.
So they leave their other friends around the campsite. So they get in the vehicle and they drive into town. And they stop up at this general store. And they get some supplies and they get back in the truck. But when they get back to the campsite, they're shocked to see that this very huge fire that they built is just now coals. It is burnt down to the ground. They said, you know, we couldn't have been gone that long. Like, how did the fire burn out so fast? Well, the other weird thing is that all of their friends were gone from the campsite. So they get out of the car and they start looking for their friends, yelling their names. And then finally they hear them and they find them. And their friends are like, oh my goodness, like, we were wondering what happened to you because, like, you guys have been gone all night long.
All
Said,
night?
"No, you know, we've only been gone for 45 minutes. And for some reason, that 45-minute trip to the grocery store was like several hours. And they could not figure out what had happened in that time from them going to the grocery store and coming back to the campsite. Anyone else notice that
That's
time
crazy.
has been speeding?
Alright, y'all, bro. I'm in the stream here, man. There's a lot of creepy stories I want to follow about. True Stories 2.0, man. A lot of crazy stuff can happen. I recommend you go follow you on TikTok and YouTube. True Stories 2.0 on both of us sites, man. Go watch it. Just binge watch, bro. You get lost in this content like I have. I just want to kind of binge watch with y'all for a bit, bro. But until next time, guys, your boy is JC. Watch those that come, Martin. Late people.